Guitar players, a blanket term that encompasses simultaneously some of the most skilled individuals on this planet, but also some of the dumbest, most dense motherfuckers you will ever meet. And tonight I've compiled 5 important, crucial even, things that some guitar players just cannot seem to wrap their stupid heads around. The price of buying a brand new set of speakers from like Thomann or Sweetwater or whatever music store you prefer is waiting time. And I don't mean just like passively sitting there and waiting. You have to play your guitar or bass or whatever it is, and you have to play it through your new speaker. Why? Well, I'm not going to get into the whole physics of how a speaker cone works with you, nor do I think that I could. But it's just astonishing how many players I've heard ask, I just bought a pair of vintage 30s and I'm playing it through my favorite amp, why doesn't it sound like my favorite bands? Because you need to break the speakers in. It's a tedious process, I've experienced it myself. This cab is loaded with 2 Celestion vintage 30s and 2 Celestion greenbacks. I ordered those from Thomann brand new, and I had to break them in. And I noticed a significant shift in sound once I had broken them in. I've never kept track of every hour I've played guitar, but I think it was about 100 hours until the speakers started sounding the way they sound today. So just use your speaker, the louder the better and the less time it'll take. And don't even think about miking up your speaker before you're sure that it's broken in, because it will sound like crap. Here's the thing, most guitar players who just play in their bedroom or in a basement or whatever, they'll notice that their guitar will go out of tune regularly and more quickly, the action will change, the intonation will shift, and they don't know why. The humidity and temperature in your room is incredibly important. With more sensitive woods in a rather small room, it can take as little as 2 extra people being in the room for a while for your guitar's neck to warp, the intonation to change, the action to get all weird. I know this is annoying, but it's a thing you're gonna have to get under control if you A, don't want your guitars to get damaged, and B, you want to be able to just pick them up randomly and play without having to tune them, intonate them, set them up first. Also, buy one of these, a hygrometer. I have mine sitting on this piano, incredibly useful. If you don't know, string action is the distance between the guitar's fretboard and the guitar's string. Different action not only makes a massive difference in playability, but also in sound. Logically, high action will make it more difficult for you to play as you have to press down much harder, but the downside of really low action is fret buzz. I like my strings pretty much inside my fretboard, that's how low. And that always comes with its fair share of fret buzz, however not so much that it would become a problem in that I'd hear it like through an amp or in a recording. I just feel it, but that doesn't bother me. Most shredders do like their action about that low, which is why they may sound a little bit buzzy when playing unplugged. To this day it amazes me how many players don't even know what string gauge is. I mean, I'd imagine about 98% of guitar players do know what string gauge is, in that it's the thickness of your strings, but they don't know what it entails. And a whole lot of them especially don't know that you need to set up your guitar accordingly if you're going to use different string gauges. And yes, that is what I mean by string gauge is important, not what string gauge you use for what tuning. That's not my fucking problem. If you want to tune down a set of 10s to drop B and get like sloppy down-tuned corn bass tone, I don't give a shit. But if you do that, then make sure your guitar is set up for 10s. For instance, the thing I saw on Thomann the other day is that modern Squier Strats will often come loaded with 9s, which is a bummer because that means that the guitar will be set up for 9s, which in turn means that when it gets to me and I put 10s on it because that's what I play, I'll definitely have to give it a setup because the neck is not prepared for 10s. You'll break your guitar if you don't follow this advice, trust me. And lastly, for number 5, don't let anyone tell you that you suck. Now, I'm all for constructive criticism, but unfortunately, the vast minority of criticism in this world is constructive. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not the kind of person who gets upset at hate comments at all. I get them all day long, I read them all day long, and I laugh at them all day long. I find them hilarious. But I know that not all people operate like this. I don't understand why, because in my head, negative shit just kind of bounces off. Don't let anyone tell you that you suck. Here's an example. I'll often get comments under my videos where I actually play my guitars rather than just talking about them that go a little something like, oh, it's obvious that you're at the beginning of your guitar journey, oftentimes made by someone who seems to be at the beginning of their English journey. And they'll be referring to playing like this. This is how I will play with little to no warm-up, maybe in a bit of a rush to finish the video, because I spent too much time recording the main part of the video or fucking around with mic positions or stuff like that, and I just need to hit record, crank out a decent take, and then get to editing. And this is how I will play after about 3 or 4 hours of just relaxed but focused playing, with no intention of actually recording it until I just kind of prop up my phone and go, hey, this sounds decent, let me record it. Now, if you've just watched one of my YouTube videos where my playing might be rather sloppy, you don't know that I can play like this. Matter of fact, sometimes I don't remember that I can play like that. But most importantly, the people leaving these comments, they have no idea if you're maybe currently at your worst playing-wise for whatever reason. Just don't let anyone tell you that you suck. Also, don't interpret this as ignore constructive criticism. That's not what I'm saying. Constructive is good. It's just the you suck comments that are no good. Obviously, I wish I had that amount of time to just warm up for 3 or 4 hours and then get the best take possible for every one of my YouTube videos, but sometimes I just don't have that kind of time. It's very evident when I do, but sometimes I just don't. And then when people come around and leave comments like, hey, you suck at playing guitar, you must be at the beginning of your guitar journey, I think, no, I don't, but yes, but no. The guitar community is very toxic. Be one of the nice guys, motivate other players, and don't be a dick. So, thank you so much for watching. You can watch 6 stupid guitar myths that you need to ignore up here. You can subscribe to the channel somewhere down there if you feel like it. All my social media, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook is in the description. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you next week.